Al Jazeera, 29th of February 2024, cables indicate that New Zealand lobbied the French regarding the Solomon Islands China Accord. The Solomon Islands, which played a pivotal role in the Second World War, are once again at the vanguard of Chinese influence and control in the new war. According to newly disclosed documents, in response to news of a contentious security accord between China and the Solomon Islands, which caused concern in Western capitals, New Zealand exerted pressure on France's territories in the Pacific. According to diplomatic dispatches obtained by Al Jazeera, representatives of New Zealand, Australia, and France convened in March 2022 to deliberate on the ramifications of the online leak of a draft version of the Security Pact. The gathering was reported to have taken place within days. Due to redactions in the documents, the exact nature of the discussions is unknown. However, the cables indicate Wellington expected French Polynesia and New Caledonia officials to express their views on the Solomon Islands China Agreement formally. According to reports provided to Wellington by New Zealand diplomats stationed in Noumea, the capital of New Caledonia, neither French Polynesia nor New Caledonia are likely to take a public position regarding the agreement. Following a meeting on March 30 with Patrice Faure, the High Commissioner of New Caledonia, New Zealand officials disclosed that they had communicated unspecified suggestions to their French counterpart, emphasizing the importance of an initial reaction stemming from Pacific leaders and the Pacific Islands Forum. The New Zealand diplomats stated, "We suggested it would be beneficial for Faure about a course of action whose specifics have been redacted from the documents." Faure agreed to do so and to consult with High Commissioner Sarine, his counterpart in Papeete, regarding the same objective, the diplomats said, referring to Dominique Sarine, the High Commissioner of French Polynesia. According to the documents, between March 29 and March 30, New Zealand officials held 3 meetings with officials from the French overseas territories. These meetings included discussions with Edward Fritsch, the president of French Polynesia, and François Bihouet, the head of the Department of Regional Cooperation and External Relations in New Caledonia. Pacific leaders convene at the preeminent regional organization, the Pacific Islands Forum, PIF, to deliberate, develop consensus, and take action on shared challenges. As outlined in the Baikitawa and Bo declarations, Pacific Islands Forum members have the collective capacity and strong commitment to supporting one another to achieve the broader security goals for the region, a New Zealand Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade spokesperson said in a statement issued after publication. As an illustration, consider New Zealand's security assistance extended to the Solomon Islands during its hosting of the Pacific Games late last year and its participation, alongside Australia and Fiji, in the Solomon Islands International Assistance Force, SOF, as the most recent manifestations of our long-standing security partnership with the Solomon Islands. When queried about rumors that New Caledonia and French Polynesia were hesitant to publicly remark on the security pact between the Solomon Islands and China, the spokesman responded, "New Zealand does not comment on the perspectives of other nations. However, defense and security concerns are within the purview of the French government," she stated. The French and Australian High Commissioners to New Caledonia and French Polynesia declined to comment in response to Al Jazeera's inquiries. Developments concerning the Solomon Islands. The United States, Australia, and New Zealand, which have historically considered Pacific Island nations to be their geopolitical backyards, were alarmed by the China Security Pact of 2022. Both Beijing and Honiara have denied Western concerns that China may use the pact to establish a military foothold in the Solomon Islands. The islands are 3,000 kilometers, 1,864 miles, from significant U.S. Army installations in Guam and 2,000 kilometers, 1,242 miles, from Australia. Jacinda Ardern, the then Prime Minister of New Zealand, described the agreement as extremely concerning and cautioned that it might result in the militarization of the Pacific, echoing similar statements made by the United States and Australia. Over 500,000 French citizens and 2,800 military personnel were dispersed throughout the Pacific, so France's reaction to the accord was relatively subdued. New Caledonia and French Polynesia are governed by elected legislatures tasked with domestic affairs, whereas Paris is responsible for the security and defense of these territories. Less than 1,400 kilometers, 870 miles, south of the Solomon Islands is the French military base occupied territory of New Caledonia, whose indigenous Kanak people share ethnic ties with Solomon Islanders. According to Anna Powells, A senior lecturer at Massey University's Center for Defense and Security Studies, the diplomatic dispatches indicated that Wellington intended to convey to Paris unmistakably that any response must originate from the Pacific. According to Powell's, France and its overseas territories have not engaged significantly at the PIF. However, since 2018, French President Emmanuel Macron has prioritized the Asia-Pacific region in his foreign policy strategy. While not an official member of the forum, France maintains an indirect representation at the table by its colonial territories. Macron's endeavors to establish closer collaborations with Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance members, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, the United Kingdom, and the United States, were hampered by the collapse of a submarine agreement with Canberra in 2021. This development prompted the establishment of the AUKUS Security Alliance, which comprises Australia, the United Kingdom, and the United States. Nevertheless, diplomatic relations have since improved. In December, the South Pacific Defense Ministers' meeting was convened in Noumea, France. Australia, Chile, Fiji, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, and Tonga were in attendance, with Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States serving as observers. France is concerned about China's increasing influence in New Caledonia and French Polynesia, where pro-independence movements are gaining momentum. This coincides with France's efforts to expand its influence in the Pacific. A year ago, Macron issued a warning regarding a new imperialism in the Pacific, which was interpreted as a reference to China even though he refrained from mentioning Beijing specifically. The diplomatic dispatches, according to Cleo Pascal, a non-resident senior fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, suggested that New Zealand was attempting to circumvent the French bureaucracy. One would have thought they could approach the French embassy in Wellington if they were serious about France. Pascal told Al Jazeera, "It feels, at best, clumsy and not necessarily with a complete understanding of the complexities of France's relationship with China." Pascal stated that discerning New Zealand's intentions was challenging due to Wellington's concurrent efforts to strengthen relations with Beijing and the PIF's reticent stance on China and the Solomon Islands. "I honestly have no idea what they are up to. The PIF never even came close to expressing such a viewpoint. Only, President David Penuelo of the Federated States of Micronesia issued a statement on this matter, and he did not receive a great deal of open support from the rest of the region," she explained. To normalize relations with China, New Zealand rallied the PIF to issue a statement. It contradicts information available to the public at the time regarding New Zealand's stance and the current position of the PIF.